I think ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. You know, gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything. No, it really has been a tough first year for you, Mr. President. Gas is up, gas is up, gas is up, everything. Rent is up, everything, everything, everything. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything.
Yeah, gas is up and so is diesel, and it's going to keep going up, in my opinion, folks. Maybe, and we made this prediction. Remember when Joe took office and prices started shooting up, and we were like, oh, they're heading to $10. We never quite made it, but maybe we will now, because Joe is doing all he can to shut us down. I mean, of course, he shut down the Keystone Pipeline. He yanked and stopped and halted permits for oil drilling and exploration. He shut down a significant percentage of the Alaskan oil reserve. And I think he shut down some offshore drilling. And then he went and pissed off the Saudis, or just insulted them with his mere presence, and probably passed gas on them. Who knows what he did there, but yeah, now Saudi Arabia is more friends with China and Russia than the United States of America. Yeah, our energy future sounds pretty solid, doesn't it? Hang tight, folks. It's the Friday free for all, and we're all back. This is the show, though, Friday, where I don't do a 30-minute monologue. I talk to you guys all along the way and answer your questions. So, that's right. We shotgun it back and forth. Today, I'm going to change it around just a tad bit, and I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to hold my fire. I'm going to keep my powder dry. I'm going to sit right here. Man is going to pick out topic numero uno for this Friday free-for-all, and it's coming from Jane Dixon, who says, now, Joe Biden claims to have taught political theory at University of Pennsylvania. When will he say what he really is a liar, corruption-ass duck? Well, he's not going to admit that. He has dementia. He is delusional. No one, I don't think, in the last 20 years has really sat him down and said, dude, you're a fucking liar. Everyone knows it. We all know it. So stop doing it. They just pat him on the back and go, thanks for not falling down on stage again. Good job, Joe. Thanks for walking up, almost delivering a decent, reading of the teleprompter, and then getting off the stage without falling down. Good boy, good boy. Why don't you go get yourself some ice cream, get your diaper changed, and please stop touching kids while you're on camera. He taught political theory. I don't think he taught his dog how to behave. That's right. His dog, what's his name? Sergeant or he had some such name, but his dog bit Secret Service agents. Not one, not two, but multiple times. Was it Sarge? What did he name that dog? Oh, man, I can't remember. I just remember it was a big deal. He can't even train a fucking dog, much less teach a college-level student. Now, here's the deal. Back when he would have been a professor or could have been a teacher or something before he became a lying U.S. senator, that's when students were still students. Today, we have students who want to be students, but instead they're lectured on white privilege and, various other woke topics. Thank you, Jane Dixon, for that. Now, I'm gonna take us to the next little ticket here. This is one I want to talk to. Actually, it's from Mr. Skylight. And it gets from me a big what the F article here about the Apple CEO Tim Cook. It's from Natural News. And he says, hey, Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, has released an ad calling for the extermination of life on Earth. What is wrong with these people to even consider the topic, much less go, I think that's a great idea. Now, life on Earth. I think we talked about this the other day when we talked about switching from carbon-based life forms to silicon-based life forms. And I did a little bit of research on that, and there are, in times past, have been silicon-based life on this planet. I mean, you could look at clams, crabs, and other things that have little hard shells, cementous hard shells. There's different types of life, but carbon, I don't think it's life without carbon. I don't think it's intelligence without a biological body. So, I mean, thinking about life, is life a computer chip that receives a program? It could be, I guess, huh? Again, I go back and forth on this. We are born with innate behavior, concepts, and principles, but we have to learn everything. We don't get a full program. We have to learn everything through experience and through education, something that Joe Biden hasn't provided anyone. But I would think silicon-based life forms would come with why not give them a full program? Why would you let an artificial intelligence being run around and try to learn on its own when you can just instantly give it everything it needs? That's a whole different concept. Anyways, these idiots in the world of technology that want to destroy life on Earth, all life. I love how they pretend to say, we got to save the trees, and then they want to kill the trees, burn the trees. And they say, we got to save all the life in the sea. And then they do everything they can to destroy life on the sea, on the land, animals, plants, dolphins, puppies, kittens, horses, humans. They just kill everything. It is a cult of death, as I've said. It's a cult of death. That's what it is. And their political party in the United States is headquartered out of the Democrats, but it's joined by many, 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 many Republicans who don't have an ounce of compassion, love, or true joy in their bodies. They're full of hatred for life. What a world to live in. Growing up thinking everyone wanted what I wanted. To be treated well, to be treated nice, to treat others well and treat others nice, to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's kind of a pipe dream when you look at what's going on out there, is it not? I sit here in the bunker looking about. What a world. All right, Mr. Uman, let's do this. I know we've got some more questions out there. You guys, get your questions down below and they'll pop on the screen just like this. And this one here. Aha, I see what it is. Uman says, the French ambassador to Niger. Is it Niger or Nigeria? Anyways, I can't remember which. Are those two different countries, or is that a same name or different names for the same country? Shit, I can't remember. Anyways, the French ambassador is being held hostage at the embassy. The junta, that is the coup d'etat, the military took over Niger and is blockading the embassy. They're blockading the embassy, preventing anything from coming and going. And let's go to page 2. And he says, poor French embassy folks are having to eat military rations. No French bread and champagne for you. Right. Now, here's the deal. Let's understand when nations are in good grace with one another, they grant each other privilege. Not rights, but privilege. And these privileges include having property with an embassy on it, and they have the privilege of calling that their own. And they have a political asylum within it. And as foreign ambassadors, they have special privileges, and they are reciprocated back and forth. So if there's a French embassy in the United States, we have a U.S. embassy in France. The rules are agreed to that everyone plays by. They're international diplomats. Well, when you look at it, it has to do with whether or not the host country wants to allow this. In the case of Nigeria or Niger, shit, now I'm confused. It is Niger. Thank you, man. In Niger, the government there is not recognized by France, by Emmanuel Macron, the man who married his own mother. They don't recognize him, so why should they recognize France and its embassy? Why should they extend the privilege to France to maintain and staff an embassy in their country if France will not recognize their authority? Once again, a sovereign nation, whether France or Germany or England or the United States or Canada or Venezuela or anyone else, whether or not they like it, these guys are in charge of the country because, well, possession is 9/10 of the law. And just because France doesn't like it doesn't mean they get to have their way. Right? This is where war starts happening. When one country thinks it's superior to another and it's like, fuck you, I'm going to use force to get what I want. It happens every single time. So, what I can tell you, what I can report to you is that weeks and weeks ago, many moons, to borrow an expression that doesn't quite apply, the French were told to get the fuck out of Niger. There's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass. They told the French to get out of the embassy and get the hell out of the country. They were expelled. And what happened? The idiots in the embassy decided to say, no, we're not leaving. We don't recognize your authority. So let me ask you this. Imagine your friend has a very nice house. And your friend says to you, you can have one of my bedrooms. I have 20 bedrooms. You can have whatever one you want, and you can stay there as often as you like, no problem. And then one day you go over there and there's a fucking MS-13 gang in your friend's house. And you're like, hey, this is my friend's house. And they're like, no, now it's our house. And you're like, but I have a room there. And you run past MS-13, you get in the room and you shut the door. Wait, you're probably like, why the hell would anyone want to do that? Didn't you just say that a drug cartel that has killed people is in possession of the house, the controlling people in the house? That's exactly what's happening with France here. They have no right to be there. They're invited guests, and they've been disinvited and then told to fucking leave. And then when they don't leave, now they're being blockaded in. They're like, we're being held hostage. So you go into your friend's house that's now being possessed by a drug lord and his cartel, and you're inside the room and he says, get out. And you're like, no, I ain't leaving, man. You're not the boss of me. You're not my mom. He's like, okay, then I'm locking the door and you can't come out either, you dumb fuck. And that's what we have in France. They were told to get out and they refused. They were given an opportunity and they denied it. And now they're being locked in and they're claiming they're being held hostage. If someone did that, if someone you know went into someone else's house that was being run by a drug cartel, wouldn't you say, that's your own fault, you dumb fuck? You had the chance to get out and you didn't. It's not your house. You're an invited guest, and now there's different masters of the house. This is how fucking stupid they are. It's how stupid they think we are that they can tell this story like, well, we don't believe it's their house. Hey, they got guns, right? I mean, who has more of a right to claim they are the administrators and overlords of Niger? The military coup people or the French? Who owns Niger? Of course, we want to say the people of Niger own Niger. Do they? Do the people of America own America? We know the answer to that. The answer is, of course we do. But we have no control, right? We're kind of like Britney Spears. Britney Spears made millions and millions and millions of dollars, but through the contracts that were signed, somehow her parents controlled it, and they withheld the money from her. right? It's what we got. It's supposed to be our country. We're supposed to be enjoying the wealth that we parade through the country. But the government takes it all and then says, fuck you. You don't have any fun. You don't get any rights. We're taking all your money. We're taking all your wealth. We've been Britney Spears by our own country. And France, apparently they're too stupid to get out. Now, you think they'd have learned their lesson looking at Benghazi, which, by the way, France is completely fucked up. That's right. The United States and France had quite a bit to do with the overthrow of Libya. Remember Libya, that country with Muammar Gaddafi, old pineapple face himself? No, wait. That was pineapple face or pineapple head was the guy down in Panama. Gaddafi was the other guy. Anyways, Colonel Gaddafi. They went in there and they did a coup d'etat and got rid of Colonel Gaddafi. I guess Colonel Gaddafi sounded better than General Gaddafi. In any event, right, that's how that worked. And now there are some big problems in Libya. Let me just roll right in there to a segue. In the Mediterranean, there is a Russian port city for their navy. It is, it's in a little teeny country, Syria. Right. There's just so much going on right now, folks. Right now. Where is that article? It is here. There we are. There we are. They were in this. It's a biblical name, Tartus, in Syria. Now they're going to have a second base in the Mediterranean. Moscow, Russia, Putin, and it's going to be in Libya, a second military port. Well, I tell you what, they never had a port there when Muammar Gaddafi, Colonel Gaddafi, was in charge. But because they overthrew that country and put in their own junta and then proceeded to rape and pillage Libya of its wealth. Now Russia is going to have a port there. Is Europe better off, folks? Is NATO more or less threatened by this development? Well, Europe can thank Hillary, thank Obama, and thank Macron, as well as any other NATO participants who wanted to play this game. I guess we'll see if they get this military port. But yeah, so anyways, the stupid French. What do you think? Am I wrong? Look, niceties notwithstanding, international rules notwithstanding, does Niger or does Niger not have the right to kick France the fuck out and say, we don't like you anymore? Who really owns the land? Well, if Niger, with the junta, coup d'etat government in charge, if they tried sending their new ambassadors to, say, London, does London have to allow them in the country? Does London have to accept them? Can London close and demand the Nigers leave? I think they're Nigerians. Yeah. I think that's how that works. If you're from Niger, you're a Nigerian. There it is. I figured it out. But is Nigeria another country? Fuck, man. It's crazy. It's a big country, big continent, I guess. Anyways, no. See, people will be like, yeah, London can kick them out if they want. Yeah, hey, get the fuck out of their country. Well, we're supposed to accept that, the Ukraine government, that was a military takeover, that's completely acceptable and legitimate. Yeah, so what we have here is a case of maximum hypocrisy, in my opinion, out of France. Now, I love the French people. I think the French government is full of idiots. That's what I think. Anyways, and what do you think of Russia having a second military naval port now in Libya, which is south of France across the Mediterranean? What do you think of that? You think the people of Spain and Portugal, France and Italy are going to be happier about that? Unbelievable. Now, let's come back and do a little domestic fun, shall we? The last 3 men who are on trial for the FBI sting operation over the conspiracy to kidnap, Gretchen the Grinch Whitmore. This bullshit sting operation the FBI did. They planned it, they paid for it, they initiated this, and then executed, folks. Thank you, Christopher Wray, making it look like a bunch of Patriot type guys were terrorists. Anyways, the final 3 men have been acquitted. The FBI sting operation has failed utterly. What do you guys think of that? This is what the FBI does. They walk up to someone and say, "Hey, you like guns?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I like guns." And they put the guns in your hand, and you're like, "What's this?" And then they arrest you for being in possession of an illegal firearm. That's essentially what the FBI does these days. Those are some brave souls, huh? Wow, absolutely incredible. What do you think of that? What do you think of what's going on in Washington, D.C.? I want your questions and thoughts. It is the Friday free-for-all here on The Prepared Mind. I'll be back, of course, Sunday night for Sunday Night Live, 3 p.m. Pacific at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have some fun and talk about what the hell is going on that ain't so fun or funny. I think Uman told me today that, well, there's a chance we could all be killed, not by an asteroid. Not one, but 2. 2 asteroids are now coming from us. I think they're trying to up the score, up the ante. It is, what the hell is going on around here? Okay, well, I had my fun with a couple of different articles. I think it's your turn again. What do you want to talk about? If you're on thepreparedmind.club, if you're at subscribestar.com, you can join us Monday through Friday. And put your questions up here. Right now, it is Orlando. He says, "Hey, John." Hey, Orlando. He says, "What do you make of that guy in the meeting that was doing comparisons between the treatment of Trump versus Biden and how he defended the Constitution?" What Orlando is referring to is a congressional representative. And he was grilling Christopher Wray. And he was basically saying there's a dichotomy, kind of a polar opposite between the way you, Christopher Wray, and your FBI is treating President Trump and President Biden. And he went after Christopher Wray in Congress. He pointed out what a bunch of hypocrites and liars they are. How they raided Trump's and did a walkthrough at Biden's. How they recommended prosecution of Trump and how they have not done a damn thing to Biden. He pointed out how Trump was president when he obtained the documents that he says he declassified, and Biden's documents came into his possession when he wasn't president and was not authorized to declassify jack shit. And Christopher Wray disagreed. He thinks that the congressman, whose name I can't remember at the moment, who articulately pointed out all the differences, he disagrees with the notion that he is a partisan, that these are political persecutions. He disagreed with the idea that this is election interference, being so close to an election, that this is all being done to smear Trump. Well, what I can tell you, John, what do I make of it? I make of it is another congressman who wants answers, who wants the people served, who wants the oaths of those in Washington, D.C. to be upheld. And if they won't uphold them, well, Right? They should be removed. And I think that's the next step. Right? Don't impeach Christopher Wray. Remove his ass. Defund. Now, here's the deal: is Washington, the House of Representatives, holds the purse strings. That's the expression that's been used my whole life. They fund everything. Everything must be funded. There's not just a big pile of cash and gold in Washington that all the bureaucracies go in and help themselves to. They are allocated money. Right? This is part of the checks and balances to our system. And Congress could defund them, remove their ability to do their jobs. Now, of course, if they did that, guess what would happen? The president, every Democrat in Washington, every bureaucracy, the mainstream media, big tech, social media would all scream that the Republicans are putting this nation at risk, that our national security is at stake, that the nation's enemies will take advantage if the FBI is not in place. Do you buy that? Well, I know that's what they'd say, but do you believe it? Thank you, Mr. Human. Do you believe it? I don't. They've already opened the border, and people are pouring across, continuing to pour across. Vetted, unvetted, checked, unchecked. All of them are just by the millions they've come into this country. How is that not a national security issue, a national security crisis, a national security threat? How is that less worse than just shutting down the FBI? Every city, every county, every state has their own police, sheriffs, state police, their own district attorneys, their own attorney generals, their own special investigative branches that work for all levels of government. They don't need the FBI. Nobody does need the FBI. I'm sure if there was a criminal in Utah who had committed a crime in Texas, that the Texas law enforcement agencies could go to the law enforcement agencies in Utah and present to them evidence and say, hey, Utah, this is evidence from Texas. We want you to put it in your hand, you to look at it and say, should we or should we not get this guy? He's the bad guy. He's right there. Go get the bad guy, right? The bad guy's in there. They could do it. They don't need the federal government. States cooperate with each other. The original idea with having a national government was to ensure that states would cooperate. Beyond ensuring they cooperate, that's it. We don't need the FBI. In fact, most people think, well, when they made the Constitution, John, they made the FBI. There's a reason to have the FBI. Wrong. The FBI was created in the 1920s. It was created in an effort to curtail organized crime. But if you really look into it, you look into the evidence, what happened there was the FBI, look into it, decide for yourself if I'm telling you some humorous satire bullshit stories or if it's true. But the FBI co-opted, worked with, made deals with organized crime. Look it up. Look it up. Look up Lucky Luciano and how he was being held and then how he was let go. Big gangster, folks. Big mobster. Look it up. The FBI has been crooked from day fucking one. What they've done is cultivate an image for themselves that they've sold to the people and told the people, oh, we're the good guys. You can trust us. So that's what I make of the guy, Orlando. That's what I make of the congressman. Now, again, you don't like him? You think he's full of shit? You think Christopher Wray's lying? Throw him out of office. Make the entire thing about Christopher Wray. Here's what I would say. Mr. Wray, I don't like the way the FBI has behaved, the policies it is enacting and enforcing while under your leadership. I hereby tell you to resign, or I am going to do everything I can to defund the FBI. And if anyone screams and yells that they want the FBI to exist, that they want them funded, and I tell them, no, they will not be funded. It'll fall on your head, Christopher Wray, because you put yourself above the FBI, above the federal government, above the United States of America, and most of all, above the people you're supposed to serve, because you won't resign and return and restore integrity. This is your fault, Christopher Wray. Resign now, or it's all on your head, and make it about him. I mean, how fucking hard is that to do? Either defund the entire unit or blame one man and get him out of office. Okay, who's up next? Ruby Rod Rosenstein. You want to be the director? Ruby Rod, you've been involved in numerous unethical, corrupt issues. Whether or not you're guilty, I don't care. It has the appearance of impropriety, and therefore you are guilty by association with all these other fucking clowns like James Comey, who had Hillary dead to rights, committing felonies, having unsecured government servers with top secret information on them in your basement, unsecured without permission, crime. And he didn't prosecute her. You want to know why, folks? Because it was too close to an election. And you don't want to interfere with elections in America. So Ruby Rod, you step down. You step down and leave office. Or the entire FBI comes down, and it happens because you thought you were bigger than the FBI, the government, and the people. And you go right on down the line till you get off the 7th frickin' floor, and you get some real agents, and you find real agents that actually care about America. And then you vet the hell out of them and ask them about the Constitution. And then ask them about communism. Oh yeah, turn it into a socialist communist litmus test. Right? Does the Constitution matter? Tell us about the Second Amendment. I mean, I would have a field day with these fucking clowns. That's how I feel about them. Anyways, great topic, Orlando. Thanks for bringing that up. But government thinks it's better, folks. Government thinks they are the masters of the universe, that they can create any definition for words they want, and it's what it is. And this isn't just an American issue we're having, folks. It's a worldwide issue. The UN official who is in charge of communications, she's the United Nations, the UN's communications queen. Guess what she says? You ready for the quote? Quote, "We own the science and think the world should know it." Not only do they believe they own science, folks, they want to tell the world that they know it. Thank you, Uman. Bring that up, if you will. We own the science and think the world should know it. She wants greater speech control, censorship for all of us. They want to control misinformation and disinformation. Let me tell you what she said, folks. Here's more of what she said. We do feel like we are in an information war and that we need to massively ramp up our response. We are in an information war, folks, and our enemy is too. And they want to ramp up their response as if they haven't ramped it up already with all the controls they have over social media. She's pissed off that they've been kicked out of Twitter, X, that they don't have control over that. She thinks that's wrong. Who the fuck is the UN? They are not a country. They are a get-together, tea-drinking club. They sit down with their little cups of tea and sip it and talk about how they should make the world a better place. It is a building for diplomats to stand around and collect a paycheck and pretend to be important. But she thinks that, well, they're in a war and they're fighting it. So she said, continues, she says, we do feel like we are in an information war and that we need to massively ramp up our response. So we're creating at the UN a central capacity to monitor and also have the ability to rapidly react when mis- and disinformation and hate speech is threatening not just our people, our operations, but also the issues and the causes that we're working on. But also, we are going to be gearing up our verified initiative around climate change and developing the United Nations Code of Conduct on information integrity on digital platforms, hoping to set global standards that we can all advocate around so that we can collectively work for a more humane internet. How is the internet inhumane? Drugs don't come through the internet. They come in the rectal cavities of people running across the border. But I mean, everything she said just stinks to high heaven of global socialist totalitarianism. So free speech is bad and they should control it. Government demands, folks, they have government demands over every word. That's what they want. They want to have control. They demand control over every single word to determine if it's good or bad. And the second any word is prohibited, well, then it's misinformation or disinformation and hate speech. And when that happens, folks, we have politicized speech, period. Everything's politicized. In other words, whoever is in control of saying what is and is not good speech, meaning whoever is in power of the UN and anyone that obeys the United Nations is now God. They're all God. That's what they want. They want to silence us so they can just run over the top of us and kill us. They want to wipe us off the face of the earth. Why not? Folks, if they wanted to, and I tried telling you they would stop me, how would you know what they want to do? Because you're not allowed to talk about them because it's hate speech. I mean, understand this, right? Threatening not just our people, meaning the people in the United Nations, not just talking bad about the UN operations, but also the issues and causes that we're working on. We're not allowed to talk about their fucked up agendas like gun control and climate change hysteria. But they want a code of conduct on information integrity. What the hell does that mean? Information integrity? Once again, it's control. They want the integrity. They want it for them. Information integrity. Information is for us to decide if it is true or false. That's it. It is not up to them. It is not theirs to decide. But that's what they want to decide, if it is theirs or not. Anyways, huge bit of news coming out of the United Nations. Once again, rearing its Hydra ugly-ass head with these barbarous totalitarian bitches wanting to take control of our planet. And folks, that word applies to both male and female. Because that's what they are. They're a bunch of sniveling bitches who would have someone else with a gun put it in your face and take your gun from you while they hide in their little ivory prison cells that they call offices. Look out. Okay, Mr. Uman, I know you've got something for me there. He says, just saw that Zelensky is heading to Washington, D.C. after a scheduled meeting with the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Coordinated with the potato-in-chief to try to provide another $24 billion in additional aid. How splendid is that? Let's see, we're giving them what? Approximately, folks, the best I can come up with is about 125 billion, give or take. He wants another 24 billion. Hell, make it 25. What's the fucking difference? So Zelensky is here asking for more money. He's here pleading his case to the United Nations, the General Assembly in New York. That's that place where they stand up in front of a bunch of green marbly stone on the wall and talk talk politics. UN General Assembly in New York. Are we sure that Zelensky's the good guy? Are we sure of that? Are we sure? Isn't Zelensky part of the junta that controls Ukraine? Well, if so, then the reason he's allowed to travel freely about the world, make demands, threaten everybody, lie, cheat, and steal, that's because it's benefiting the people in charge. Right now, folks, Joe Biden is in big trouble over Ukraine. In fact, it's possible that the former Ukraine, shall we say, prosecutor, investigator of the Hunter Biden shenanigans may become a key witness, making the impeachment allegations that much more rock solid. Now, we've been told we must support Ukraine. Everything Ukraine is good. Well, except for that one guy who could point to Hunter and Joe and show that they're criminals. Now, if you stretch the rubber band, you can put it around Joe and Hunter and around Ukraine and Zelensky, and you got them all together. The Biden control and influence in Ukraine has been there from the very beginning, 2013. But Biden was the vice president since 2008 when they were elected, 2009 put in office. What makes you think that $24 billion isn't subject to the big guy 10% kickback? Why else? Why else would Biden be so willing to give this guy money? I have documented with you guys, discussed with you guys, how many times that U.S. diplomats, the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, owns the company that is responsible for coordinating and getting arms from companies over into Ukraine. He's a middleman. He's a used car salesman. They want this war. And Joe Biden, well, he's the big guy. He can hand out free money. He's like a dementia-riddled Santa Claus who's just handing money away. Here you go, everyone around the world, have some money. Americans, fuck you. You don't get any. We're going to give your money to these illegal immigrants. Let them go spend it. What does the government care as long as the money gets spent? It gets spent in stores. The government gets its money. It gets its taxes. It's happy. People who are being hurt by this are us. We're getting cut out of the middle. We got immigrants here driving around in our cars, living in our homes, eating our food, and buying our products that we paid for. But they get it, and the government still gets their taxes. It doesn't matter, folks, who spends the money in Walmart. Walmart pays its taxes to the government. It doesn't matter who in the state, right, who buys stuff in the state. The sales taxes still go to the state. You and I are the ones getting cut out of the middle on this. It's dangerous business with the government, folks. Dangerous business. The impeachment's going forward, by the way. The impeachment's going forward. I think that the nation, the people of the United States of America, both Republican and Democrat, just not all Democrats, some of them. Where are they? They're out there. I'm going to describe some of them. Want Biden out of office. They're becoming disgusted and disillusioned with the Democrat Party. For example, angry New Yorkers, pissed off New Yorkers, shouted down AOC. They heckled the shit out of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know, the woman who can eat an apple through a picket fence. They were screaming at her, close the border. They were screaming at her, respect the Constitution. How about this? Obey the Constitution. How about this? Obey your oath. Why are they yelling that? Because New Yorkers are pissed off because of the crisis they're in due to the influx of illegal aliens. And don't kid yourself, folks. The only people sending aliens, meaning Mexicans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, and people from around the world up through Mexico, Joe Biden is doing it too. He is busing them and flying them all over the country. It is just an additional number are coming out of states like Texas and Florida, where the governors there have respectively done their best to put people on those buses and send them to New York and Chicago. But get this, white unmarked buses showed up in San Diego and dropped off tons and tons and tons more. What kills me is, folks, San Diego is literally on the border. Literally on the border. There are businesses I've been to that are on the border with Mexico. Imagine coming into Texas across the border, and you get into Texas, you're like, I made it to America. And they put you on a bus and send you all the way to San Diego, which is still on the fucking border. The reason they're doing this to San Diego, folks, is because it's a conservative town. That's right. It's a Republican city, San Diego. It's a beautiful city. And it is being just flooded with illegals from every direction because they want to bring down San Diego. Hundreds and hundreds of illegals. Dump them in the street of San Diego. Thanks, Biden. It's part of the Share the Wealth program. Thanks, Biden. Right? Biden did this. Your fuel cost is going to go up mega high, folks. I got complaints from not just UMAN, but others letting me know their fuel prices are going up. They're going up in New Mexico. They're going up in California. They're going up in Illinois. They're going up in Florida. They're going up in Texas. They're going up in North Carolina. They're going up everywhere. Biden did this. It's Bidenflation, folks. All right, it's your turn again. Mr. Uman, let's take a look at what is going on out there. Who's got something to say? Name redacted says something pretty interesting. He says, what head of state, meaning president or prime minister or Caesar or king or emperor, what head of state while at war has ever traveled like that motherfucker? You misspelled Zelensky. Zelensky starts with a Z, but you called him a motherfucker. None has ever done that. None has ever gone around the world on world tour, constantly, consistently begging, demanding other countries support his sorry ass. And what is Zelensky doing? Imagine this, folks. Imagine if Slobodan Milosevic showed up in front of the UN while he's committing mass genocide and then telling the UN, you need to support my efforts. Can you imagine, if you will, the United Nations, which was around, and Chairman Mao coming to the United Nations saying, I need more money, I need more guns, I need more bullets, I need more missiles, I need more planes, I need more tanks, because I'm busy committing genocide against my own people. And he did kill tens of millions, folks. Somewhere between, 40 and 60 million of his own Chinese people. Would the United Nations applaud that? Would the United Nations, oh, good Chairman Mao, we love you, Chairman Mao, go kill more Chinese people. Genocide, 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 genocide. Would they do that for Chairman Mao? What about for Stalin? Right? What about Joseph Stalin, huh? You think if Stalin hobbled into the UN? Oh, folks, the Soviet Union was part of the UN, the Security Council, no less, because they helped defeat the Nazis. Do you think if he went in and said, hey, by the way, I killed tens of millions of Russians, Russians, and I want you to support me with more money and guns and bullets so I can go kill my own people. How about Adolf Hitler? What if Adolf Hitler traveled to America, flew into New York City, got off the plane, went to the UN and said, I'm thinking about killing all these people I don't like. I've got a plan. It's called the final solution. I'm going to commit genocide. Who's with me? Right? His Hitler-esque type speech, right? Do you think the UN would stand behind him? What is Zelensky doing, folks? What is Zelensky doing? Well, before Russia invaded in its its military operation, before Russia invaded, what they're calling invaded, they said they're going in to protect their people. Zelensky and his military were busy committing genocide. And now Zelensky is sending his own people into the teeth of the Russian military. Sending his own people into the teeth. You bet, folks. He's committing genocide against his own people. He is now having to recruit crippled men, old men, and even women. And they're planning on sending them to the front lines. What does that tell you about Ukraine and who the fuck is left to fight? You got people fleeing all over the world. And Zelensky is threatening the world saying, hey, if you don't give us money, these people, these Ukraine refugees, they're actually super secret squirrel terrorists and they'll come and get you. The little fucker wants to threaten us. They should arrest his sorry little ass and put him on a treadmill, spinning that treadmill fast with his little skinny legs and run his ass off and make electricity to power New York City and do that the rest of his sorry, miserable fucking life for all the money we've spent on him. Do you think he could provide enough manual labor to pay back 1/10,000th of what he has been given? Little son of a bitch. You call him a motherfucker. I call him a little son of a bitch. He's a little skinny jeans wearing light in the loafers pussy. Last time he was in New York City, well, at least 20 years ago, he was attending a pride parade because he's a sick, perverted little bastard. Now he's there acting like a world leader. Yeah, they're in a state of war because there's a special military operation, an SMO, with Russia trying to protect their people and help states become independent of this genocidal little turd. No one has ever done what this little, I almost said the bad F word. I'm going to calm down a moment. The UN is applauding him, folks. We love you, Zelensky. You're such a good guy. First, you committed genocide against the Russians, and now you're committing genocide against your own people. Bravo. Bravo. Bravissimo. Did you know, folks, that the Russian machine is not weaker than it was when the war started? It's actually stronger. I got your World War III news right here on this Free for All Friday. Russia, according to estimates, is producing 7 times more ammunition than the United States and Europe combined. 700% more, folks. I thought we had sanctions. I thought the rest of the world was going to cut Russia off and teach them a lesson. No, don't worry. Folks, the mainstream media is the source of this, not me. I didn't make it up. I didn't go back around the corner in the old pantry there and pull out some spam for dinner and then, say, hey, I need to make some shit up about Russia. No. The New York Times, you ready for this? The New York Times writes this: Russia has managed to overcome sanctions and export controls imposed by the West, meaning the United States and Europe, to expand its missile production beyond pre-war levels. This, according to U.S., European, and Ukrainian officials. Wow. U.S., European, and Ukrainian officials have talked about how Russia is stomping their ass on producing weapons. Russia is not being disarmed, folks. They're not using all their munitions up and leaving themselves without a defense. They're saying now that, let me give you more New York Times. U.S., European, and Ukrainian officials say they're leaving Ukraine especially vulnerable to intensified attacks in the coming months. Why did they say that? Because Russia has more missiles and bombs and rockets and bullets and guns. Now, here's what they say. While sanctions did slow Russian production of missiles and other weapons for some 6 months, Russia rebuilt the trade in critical components and routing them through countries like, wait for it, Armenia and Turkey. What does that mean? Well, when Russia realized that it was going to go to war in Ukraine, they realized they needed to turn up their war machine. And they're like, what stuff do we need from other countries? Let's go get it. In the meantime, we got lots of stored bullets and rockets and bombs and shit. We'll use that while we get everything geared up for this fight. Oh, wait, how are we going to pay for all this stuff? Oh, yeah, I know. All this oil we're selling Europe and the rest of the world. We'll just make sure the prices go up and we'll get more money for it. I think U.S. oil today was at $91 a barrel and Brent crude was at $94. Yeah, Russia's making bank, folks. Bank. And it's funding their war effort, which they've rebuilt with the help of Turkey. Now, why is Turkey important? Recall that this guy right here, months and months ago when all this shit started, I said Turkey may change sides and join Russia at some point. But for now, folks, Turkey is, for now, a member of NATO. And it is the second largest military in NATO. But Turkey, as a NATO member, provides munitions and other materials and components to Putin's Russian war machine. I called it, folks. The Prepared Mind called it again. Now, Turkey is helping Russia. Russia is stomping the shit out of Zelensky. Zelensky is more than willing to send his people to death, a type of domestic genocide, kind of like, well, Pol Pot, Mao, Stalin, Hitler. Now, here's more from the New York Times. Russia's re-energized military production is especially worrisome because Moscow has used artillery to pound Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines and its missiles to attack the electric grid and other critical infrastructure and to terrorize civilians in cities. There you go, right? Terrorize. Officials fear that increased missile stocks could mean an especially dark and cold winter for Ukrainian citizens. Who is continuing to push and fight against Russia? Zelensky. Who is continuing to make people in Ukraine uncomfortable and scared and tired and hungry and cold? Zelensky. Why? What good does it do Ukraine to continue to kill its people? Does none. So, the New York Times, mainstream media, and other outlets are carrying this information, folks, say Russian officials have remade their economy to focus on defense production. With revenue from high energy prices, oil, Russia's security services and Ministry of Defense have been able to smuggle in the microelectronics and other Western materials required for cruise missiles and other precision guided weaponry. As a result, military production has not only recovered but surged. What makes you think? What makes any of us think that Russia can't produce its own microelectronics and other precision guided weaponry components? Do you think they're going to rely on Taiwan or China for those things? I mean, once they've been developed, why wouldn't they produce them themselves? Stands to reason that they would. But for now, we're going to say that, yeah, other countries are helping Russia out. Well, yeah, just like Europe and the United States of America by buying Russian crude and funding Russia and their efforts. Folks, if Washington, D.C. and the European Union and NATO won't quit fighting Russia, then expect not Zelensky. He's a jet-set little bitch. Expect the Ukrainian people to suffer the consequences. And Americans, we love and support Ukraine, right? And we fly their stupid little yellow and blue flags everywhere in solidarity with the Ukraine people. We love Ukraine. We love the Ukraine people. If you think about it, though, that support, that solidarity isn't with the people of Ukraine, but with Zelensky. And it's resulting in the slaughter of Ukrainians on the front lines to a vastly superior military machine that is growing in strength. Way to go, Democrats and rhinos, and way to go, DC war pigs. Talk about genocide. It is completely world-sanctioned genocide. Folks, this is SHTF. This could happen in this country, no problem. It could happen here very quickly. All they have to do is justify it, point to a boogeyman and say, he's the problem, the bad guy's over there. Go get him, and start killing everyone. And then justify it. That's what these people have done, folks, not just since 2020, not just since 2000, not just since 1776. These people in charge have done this for thousands of years. They want what they want, and they're willing to kill everyone to get it. They'll even shut down a country as prosperous as ours. They'll even stop a standard of living that makes everyone happy. Isn't it crazy how we have a huge standard of living that's just amazing, yet they're willing to sacrifice it all to get what they want? When that happens, you know it's not your country anymore. It's not our country anymore, folks. It's their country. We can't stop them. They won't stop themselves because they are greedy, incredibly arrogant, and also evil bastards. That is why we need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Put your plan together, folks. Get prepared because chance favors the prepared mind. Godspeed, Semper Fi. Thank you for joining me on this Friday free-for-all. I'll see you Sunday Night Live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.